Gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please hit that follow button, like, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, and go and follow my other show, Key City Sports, on Instagram. So, coming back with another one to talk about preseason action week one. But first, I want to get into what has happened, what has transpired over the last couple of weeks for us, and we are about to reach greener pastures. I got sports, I got sports sponsorships on the way, and I'm also joining a sports company online company. So we doing good, we doing big things, and we are also starting next week. We are also going to start taping at 9 a.m. sharp. 9 a.m. sharp. So when you wake up in the morning, get your coffee, get what you need to get your muffins, your donuts, whatever, and sit back and relax because Keytime Sports is in a new time slot as of August 18th, which is next Monday, 9 a.m. sharp. Okay, now we can get to everything that happened in preseason of week one. So the first game was the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. So I was looking at this game and Anthony Richardson, he still like has a lot to learn as far as being a quarterback in the NFL, and he also got injured. Now it was a finger injury. Well, his pinky finger, he injured that. But as far as you know, when it comes to the Colts and everything, I just don't think that the Colts are going to be able to make it to the playoffs. I just don't because when you see the Colts and the ineptitude and also the inconsistency at the quarterback position with Anthony Richardson, it calls for pause and it has everybody second guessing, is the Colts going to be able to make it to the playoffs? Because the last couple of years, they've been in the playoff conversation come week 13, week 14. But quarterback injuries, Anthony Richardson not being in physical condition, the right physical condition, that is what has deterred the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm gonna get into these stats. They have Daniel Jones, but well, I mean Daniel Jones, he really didn't have anything on tape in New York to be excited over because he didn't have a good offensive line and he was in a pedestrian offense. The Giants, they didn't let him, have the whole entire playbook. There are some playbooks, now I can go ahead and say this, but there are some playbooks in the NFL where they have a set amount of plays. There are some playbooks where they have 130 plays, and then there are some playbooks where in Daniel Jones' case where he only has 75 to 85 plays. So that's all, and this is factual. You can look that up. It's factual. So Daniel Jones, 10 or 21, 144 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. But like I said, first week of the preseason, just trying to put something on tape for the Colts and the Ravens. I'm going to tell you, the Ravens, we all know that the Ravens, this is not what the team is going to look like. But I did see some bright spots when it comes to the Ravens. Their punt returner, their punt returner, LeJontay Wester, they need to have him on opening day because he returned a punt. He returned a punt back. I mean, not a punt back, but a kickoff return for a touchdown. He did, and he also had another kickoff that started at the 45-yard line of the Ravens. So the rookies throughout this past weekend, they showed a lot of flashes on tape. They showed a lot of flashes on tape. Now, the Colts, Anthony Richardson, hopefully Anthony Richardson can come back well and have a speedy recovery, but he gonna need that pinky finger for throwing footballs in games because you can't throw a football without your thumb or your pinky finger. Yet having your three index fingers is not going to work. So the Colts, they have a decision to make. Do you start Daniel Jones in week one, or do you wait and see if Anthony Richardson, if his injury is going to hold up, so he could be ready for week one? Now, week one they have the Miami Dolphins. Everybody just remember that they have the Miami Dolphins week one. So outside of that, it's a lot of stuff that they can improve on, both teams, Ravens and Colts. So I'm not gonna really take too much away from this game because it's preseason and there was a lot of stuff that I had looked at on tape and a lot of flashes from the rookies that I liked. So the next game I'm going to cover is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Bengals, they started out with their first string. Now, I can say over the past 4 years, the Bengals have always started off cold. In the first 4 weeks, either they're 1-3, 0-2, or they are 0-4. When it comes to the first 4 games, the Bengals, it seems like they are not prepared at all. And defensively in this game, it seemed like they wasn't prepared. Now credit the Eagles, they didn't have their starters in there, but as far as the rushing yards, and there was so many big plays from the Eagles rushing game. I mean, you could see total plays, they had 73. Total yards, 432 yards. On the ground, they had over 100 yards. The Eagles had 132 yards to be exact. The Bengals defense is going to be it's going to be bad this season for the Bengals defense. The offense for the Bengals, they are going to have to average. Now, hear me clearly when I say this to you, world, America, world, wherever you may be listening and however you may be watching. The Bengals, the offense is going to have to average 5 touchdowns, 35 points. And the Bengals, they're going to be in offensive shootouts every week because the Bengals offense, most of the salary cap is tied into the Bengals offense. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And you see Trey Hendrickson, he is wanting a contract extension, but the Bengals, they already up against the salary cap. So when you have 65% of your salary cap tied into 3 players, you're going to have trouble signing and extending your most important defensive players. So the Bengals, they have trouble. And as far as the Philadelphia Eagles, I looked at them and the offense hasn't missed a beat. The second string guys, they really had a good game. And the backup quarterback, Tanner McKee. Now, Tanner McKee, he has been there for 3 years, and he had a great stat line. 20 or 25, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, and most importantly, 0 interceptions. The Eagles offense is going to be a well-oiled machine. The starters, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, they were out for rest this game. They were. But the Eagles, they have They have a good team. They have a deep team as far as depth. Wide receivers, they can go 5, 6 wide receivers deep. Offensive line, the center, they can go 4 centers deep. So the Eagles were the best case scenario for them, and I'm gonna say this before the regular season starts again at the end of this month. The best case scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles, repeat Super Bowl champions. The worst case scenario for the Eagles is losing in the NFC Championship game. So either way, the Eagles, I'm already penciling the Eagles in for either the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. And that's all I have to say for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. The next game I am going to cover is the Las Vegas Raiders and the Seattle Seahawks. There's one thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the Raiders. Ashton Jeanty. Now, Ashton Jeanty, we all know when Ashton Jeanty was at Boise State, he would stand up in the formation like this. He would stand up in the formation like this. Now, Chip Kelly, he is the Raiders offensive coordinator, and now he has Ashton Jeanty standing like this. He has that little slouch, and he has his hands on his knees. But we all know that he played better when he was standing straight up, and then he saw everything that was in front of him. But when you have him bending down and stuff, and he can't see nothing over the offensive line, that's where the Raiders' rushing game is going to decrease. It really is, and it decreased already because you can see when it comes to Ashton Jeanty, he had 3 carries for -1 yard. I mean, I know that this is supposed to be a passing game, and this league is dominated by passing. I can tell you that. But your top running back, he's a rookie, and he only has 3 carries and doesn't even pick up positive yardage. Chip Kelly, now I don't know if you all noticed this, but Chip Kelly, to me, I've always been skeptical of Chip Kelly. I have been. Even when I was in middle school and I used to see how he would run his offenses. He always has that college mentality when it comes to running a college offense. College offenses, they don't survive in the NFL long because the NFL, they are going to catch up to that college shotgun nonsense. You are going to have to run a well-to-do NFL offense. That's what Chip Kelly don't understand. And Chip Kelly, he just came from Ohio State with the Buckeyes last season. And now he coming back in here and changing up the formation that Ashton Jeanty likes. And he said that he likes standing up and in the formation. But that's going to be a problem for the Raiders in the long haul. I would not be surprised when we get to week 4 or week 5, people start complaining about how the Raiders are using Ashton Jeanty, because I don't like it. And a couple of Raiders fans I saw over the weekend, they are already voicing their displeasure about Ashton Jeanty being down in a formation, in a 3-point stance. That's not Ashton Jeanty's game. Chip Kelly, you need to look at the film when Ashton Jeanty was at Boise State. Keep him up in a standing formation, in a standing position, excuse me, and let him run like he ran in Boise State. Well, at Boise State. So that's all I got to say about the Raiders. For the Seattle Seahawks, Jalen Milroe, he had a decent game. He was 6 of 10, and after that drive, they pulled him out. Drew Lock, 12 of 22, 147 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. And this game ended up in a tie. Now, we all know that in preseason, there is no overtime. There isn't. So, a lot of games have ended up in a tie. There's another game that I'm going to get into later on in the show that ended up in a tie. But one thing, this is the first week of the preseason, so this is just stuff that they are putting on tape. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, is going to pull out all the plays in their playbook in preseason of week one. I just don't see that, and it's best for them to hold some of those trick plays that they have. Every team in the NFL, they have trick plays. They have a playbook for those trick plays. It's almost like a sticky note right here, almost like a sticky note. But the sticky note, well, the playbook is much bigger than a book full of sticky notes. So so at the end of the day, the Raiders and the Seahawks, they are in the same boat. And that's all I have to say for the Raiders and the Seahawks. The next game I'm going to cover is the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons. Before I get into this game was called early due to an injury, and basically I'm going to say it was almost a life-threatening injury. Anytime somebody goes to make a tackle and their whole neck snaps back like that, I am not going to show anybody in the audience how or what transpired during that injury. But if you want to find out what happened in the Lions Falcons game, go and look at it and you will see what I'm talking about. But anytime somebody is laid out on the field that long for over 10 minutes because their neck snapped back, and it's almost like the player was paralyzed, and everybody in the stadium, the players, the coaches, they started praying. Now I am going to say something. We all know that the NFL and football in general is a contact sport. But now there are just some things that take place before a football game takes place. Now, I hope the player, from what I hear, the player, he was transported to the hospital immediately. So I'm not sure if he is on the will he be on the roster come opening day. But everybody have everybody, please have your prayers up for that player that got injured. I don't know his name, but I do know his number. And that injury right there, I'm kind of tongue tied because I don't know like how I'm at a loss for words, because I've seen injuries. And credit, I played football in middle school. So I'm used to the nagging injuries, the tweaked ankles, and the arm soreness and all that. But for somebody to have their neck snap back, mm, 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 that's a gruesome sight. That's a gruesome sight. So another thing that I'm going to talk about with the Lions is Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker. They had a decent game. Kyle Allen, 7 of 8, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Hendon Hooker, 7 of 10, 38 yards. He played one drive, and that was pretty much it for the Lions as far as rushing. They had exactly over 100 yards. The Falcons, Emory Jones, Easton Stick, 15 of 18, 149 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Emory Jones, 4 of 5, 49 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Here is the Atlanta receiving throughout the game. Fumbles, Atlanta's defense and Detroit's defense. Detroit looks a whole lot better than they did versus that game versus the Chargers. And as far as for the Atlanta Falcons, first game, just trying to put some stuff on tape, and that is all. So that's all that I have to say for the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons. The next game I am going to cover is the almighty Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers. And you already know who the man of the hour is in this game. It was Shedeur Sanders. 14 of 23, 138 yards, two touchdowns, and most importantly, zero interceptions. Now, I was excited to see this game, and I was excited to see Shedeur Sanders. Now, his first drive, he started off slow. He got sacked. He almost threw an interception. But he was able to weather the storm and lead two drives where he got it into the end zone. And now everybody in Browns camp and the Browns fan base, they want to see Shedeur start. They want to see Shedeur start week one. And I have been saying this over the past couple of months. All of those other quarterbacks that the Browns have, the Joe Flacco's, the Kenny Pickett's, Dylan Gabriel, Tyler Huntley, who they just brought in last week. Everybody, and I do mean the whole quarterback room in the Browns facility is shaking in their boots right now. Did you see how Dylan Gabriel was looking Friday night? He was looking like, dog, this man is about to take my job. Joe Flacco, he is on the veteran minimum for the Cleveland Browns, so he gonna get his little 4-5 game check from the Browns, and he gonna be okay. Deshaun Watson, he was also looking, and he had a little bit of uncertainty on his face, but he signed a contract that was fully guaranteed, so it really don't matter about him. It really don't. And Tyler Huntley, he was 6 of 8, 51 yards, one touchdown, and zero interceptions. But the Browns, one thing I want to say, the Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't even want you to talk about Shedeur Sanders in a good way, because you didn't even want him. You didn't want him. And the general manager for the Cleveland Browns, he didn't want him either. But he was still there at round number 5, 144th pick. But everybody, and I do mean everybody, know that the NFL, they was trying to bring Shedeur down. But back in May, Shedeur said, it's not my job to prove everybody wrong. It's just my job to prove myself right. And in the process, he said, in the process, I will prove everybody wrong. Now, see, that is the type of confidence that everybody is hesitant to talk about when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Me, I have that same type of confidence every time I go in here and come in here on this show and do my shows on a weekly basis. I have that kind of confidence. Now, I'm not sure if anybody was able to see this video, but there's a video circulating on TikTok and all the other social media platforms where Shedeur Sanders confronts a Cleveland Browns reporter. And I'm not sure exactly what he said, but I just seen 15 seconds of it. Shedeur walked up to the Cleveland Browns reporter and said, "What are you going to write about me now? Because what you have written about me, everything has been negative. He said, "What did I ever do to you?" But that guy, he has been a Cleveland Browns reporter for a long time. He hasn't seen consistent quarterback elevancy. That's the word I'm gonna use today. Elevancy, quarterback elevancy. The Shador Sanders, he has elevated the Cleveland Browns fan base. Did you see how many fans was at the game in the Panthers Stadium, in Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers played? I have never seen so many Cleveland Browns fans attend a road game, let alone a home game, but a road game, because we all know over the past, I'm going to say 25 years, the Cleveland Browns, they haven't done nothing. They really haven't. They haven't done nothing. So, one thing, the last thing I'm going to say about Shador Sanders and Cleveland Browns fan base as a whole before I get into my Carolina Panthers take, is the Browns need to do the right thing. Shador Sanders has shown everybody that he is not what they put him at. He is not a 5th round pick. He is at worst, and I do mean at worst, a lower 1st round pick. Now there's going to be a lot of teams that have quarterback trouble this year, and they're going to be looking and wishing that they took Shador Sanders in this past April's draft. The NFL as a whole, they are already seeing where Shador Sanders is elevating himself. Not to mention that he has the number 1 selling jersey in the NFL right now. And this man has only played one preseason game. And then you have the little nacky ad saying it's only a matter of time. And Shador Sanders doing his signature move, holding up his wrist. I mean, he is a moneymaker, and the NFL, he has a separate entity when it comes to the NFL. He has his own clothing line, his own clothing store, and he making money from that. He not making money just by his contract and stuff. Now, the Browns, they lowballed Shador Sanders of his contract just because of where they picked him. But he is well worth that. And everybody over the last couple months was like, they don't know if Shador gonna make the team. You know what I'm gonna say? That's a bunch of foolishness. That was a bunch of foolishness, ignorant ass talk. And yes, I did say it, because you all know that this man is worthy to be on the 53-man roster. I mean, it's just a lot of sports journalists, they just try to be different. But here is the thing. See, this is why I say things are about to change. There's a whole new ball game over here on Keytime Sports. I am going to give you the facts, and I don't care who disagrees with me, whether it's a big-time journalist or whether it's some of these jokers here on YouTube or on my other show on Instagram. It don't matter, because Shador Sanders is worthy of being the top quarterback in Cleveland, no matter what y'all say. Now, Kevin Stefanski, you gonna have to make the decision. Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, is gonna have to make a decision whether Shador Sanders belongs as the first quarterback for the Browns. But me, I would say start him. Start him the first week of the season. And I digress. Now that's all I'm going to say about the Browns. As far as the Panthers, when it comes to Bryce Young, the Panthers are a dark horse team to make the playoffs. I said this in my NFL teams with plenty to prove for the 2025 season video last month. So the Panthers, Bryce Young, I seen him make strides. He was 4 of 6, 58 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Carolina's rushing game, even though it was moderate, It's the first preseason game. You're just trying to put some stuff on tape. That's all. Just trying to put some stuff on tape. Carolina receiving core, hey, just trying to put some stuff on tape. But the Panthers, everybody is sleeping on the Panthers. Now, we already know that the NFC South is a bad division. But if the Buccaneers don't run away with the division, Atlanta can possibly slip up and win the division. If not Atlanta, the Carolina Panthers can win that division. Now, do I think that they are going to win the division? No. But they are showing strides of a team that is a force to be reckoned with. And I love what I'm seeing from Bryce Young. I love it. I love what I saw from Bryce Young. He came on strong last season, and it seemed like the first game against the Browns, he just picked up where he left off. So the Browns and the Panthers, they had a good showing. Cleveland, do the right thing now and start Shedeur Sanders. The next game I'm going to cover is the New England Patriots and the Washington Commanders. Now, New England Patriots, they almost put up 50 points. Now, this was against, second and third stringers of the Washington Commanders, so I'm not going to take too much from this game. But one thing I can say is that the Patriots, they are going to have a decent offense this year. Drake May, he is going to have a better season than last. Mike Vrabel, he has those guys believing, and they believe in his system. And the Patriots, while I think that they might be third or fourth in their division, they are going to show some strides this season. They're going to lose some close games. But a young team like the Patriots have, losing a lot of close games means that you are not far off from becoming a playoff team. Now, here's the statistics for the Commanders and the Patriots. And Josh Johnson, Sam Hartman. Josh Johnson, 15 of 22, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Sam Hartman, 9 of 19, 64 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. New England Patriots. Ben Woolridge, 9 of 12, 132 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Joshua Dobbs, 5 of 12, 45 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Drake May, 3 of 5, 12 yards. Touchdowns and interceptions, 0 and 0. The Patriots are a young, up-and-coming team. They have a lot of stuff to improve on, but with Mike Vrabel, it might not be this season. It could be next season or the following season. The Patriots are just a couple of years away from becoming a playoff team under Mike Vrabel's leadership. The next game I am going to cover is the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills. Specifically, Josh Stark, 12 of 19, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. And the touchdown he threw was a corner post pattern route. And he placed the ball so well where only his receiver could get it. Now the Giants, everybody expect the Giants, to have 4, maybe 5 wins. I could see the Giants, getting 6 or 7 wins, because the Giants, they are always going to play teams close. Now, for them to put up 34 points, it's astonishing, because I don't know when the last time I seen the Giants put up 34 points, whether it was preseason, regular season, or playoffs. It's been a while since I've seen them crack 30 points. Now, Tommy DeVito, 10 of 14, 73 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, they had relatively quiet nights, but first game, everybody is just trying to, get back in the swing of things. And everybody is trying to get back into the right conditioning because we all know that players, they use preseason to get in tip top shape. It wasn't like that 10, 15 years ago. You came into mini camp and training camp in shape. But we all know that nowadays the NFL, they don't have two a days like they used to. You used to work out in the morning, then work out in the afternoon. Those are two a days if nobody doesn't know what I'm talking about. Two a days are workout in the morning and workout in the afternoon. And sometimes they used to do three a days where they would work out in the morning, work out in the noon, and then work out in the afternoon. But I believe that was just too much doing three a days. Two a days, it's a lot on the body. Just having one practice each day of the week, that's good. That's what's best because you don't want your players to get injured in practice and you need them later on in the season. So as far as the Buffalo Bills, Mitchell Trubisky, 9 of 13, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Mike White, 8 of 13, 112 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Shane Buscelli, 10 of 12, 91 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. New York Giants rushing. We all see it. We all see the Buffalo Bills rushing. Here is their wide receiver core, well, their potential wide receiver core, because this is preseason. And at the end of this month, cut down day is the 28th of August. Cut down, yeah. So the cut down is the 28th of August. So there's only two or three more preseason games that all of these teams will play. And then we will start the real thing on September 4th. September 4th, everybody. So that's all I have to say for the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills. The next game I am going to cover is my Dallas Cowboys and the LA Rams. Now, Cowboys, they have I'm not going to overreact over this because Joe Milton, he came on strong in the second half. 17 of 29, 143 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Will Greer, 2 of 3, 14 yards, zero interceptions, and zero touchdowns. But the Cowboys, I can say, there are some teams that need preseason, to get the fans, hyped and riled up for, well, I'm not going to say riled up, but to get the fans excited for the regular season. For me, the Cowboys, they don't need the preseason. I looked at the Cowboys game and I looked at all of these games in its entirety. I looked at them, and one thing that I seen when it came to the Cowboys, I was just watching the game like this. I'm like, okay, first down. But what was so funny is the thing that transpired on the sidelines. If anybody has been looking at TikTok or any other platforms over the past couple of days, you will see that in the second quarter, CeeDee Lamb got CeeDee Lamb got ran over by the ref, where it was a touchdown, where the Cowboys were about to score a touchdown. He raised his hand up, and said that we are about to score, and he was all excited. Then all of a sudden, bam! The referee ran over CeeDee Lamb, and he got a flag for sideline interference. I said to myself, I'm like, we don't need no penalties like that. but it was funny. It was funny, and I've been looking at that thing on repeat. Okay, so now back to the game. Back to the game for the Rams. Stats and minutes 16 of 24, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The rushing game for the Cowboys and the Rams, pretty much, moderate. It's average for the first week of the preseason. So I'm not going to dive into this game too much, but there were a few plays on both sides of the ball for both teams where I saw some flashes for the Cowboys as far as offensive line need to work on it. They have they have the preseason to work on it. For the Rams, Matthew Stafford hasn't took first team snaps yet. And that's concerning because we are only a month away, well, a little less than a month away from the regular season. Now that is going to be that is going that calls for everybody to be cautious if you are a Rams fan. Because if you don't have your top quarterback, then you are going to be shuffling for the first, I'm going to say, 6 weeks of the regular season. That's all I have to say for the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. The next game I'm going to cover is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, one thing that I'm going to touch on right now, the 70-yard field goal by Cam Little. Cam Little, he is a rookie. Now, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm not letting that guy walk out of the stadium without me bringing him on the roster. Now, he already on the roster. But that man, he has got a foot on him. When I seen that 70-yarder, I was saying to myself, no, I'm like, he not. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, no, the head coach, he ain't going to try this. And I'm like, he ain't going to make it. And then when he made it, even though it's not a record-setting field goal because it's preseason and nothing that you do in the preseason goes on record. But the fact that he hit a 70-yard field goal, hey, it's worth the recognition. I can say that it's worth the recognition. And Cam Little, he already has a job. Yeah, if you ask me, Cam Little is the Jacksonville Jaguars' leading kicker. He is their kicker. Now, outside of that, Skylar Thompson, 20 of 28, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mason Rudolph, 9 of 10, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Nick Mullins for the Jaguars, 11 of 18, 89 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Seth Hannigan, 11 of 14, 78 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. John Warford, 3 of 5, 63 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence, 6 of 7, 43 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rushing game for the Steelers and the Jaguars was even, 66 yards. Receiving for the Steelers and the Jaguars was relatively the same. Longest pass play was 29 yards for the Steelers and 27 yards for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Steelers, in this case, we already know that they have Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I don't know if he is going to start in the preseason because we already know that preseason is just for developing your rookies, your backups, your third team players, and your fourth team players, and the practice squad players. That is what preseason is for now. The starters, they're not gonna play in the preseason. Whether it's only time that the starters play in the preseason, it's only for 1 or 2 series, and that's what it was for all of these teams. For all of these teams that we have had, that I have been going over and covering, their starters only play 1 or 2 series, and some of the starters didn't even play. As for the Eagles, the next game I'm going to cover is the Tennessee Titans and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shout out to Shiloh Sanders. Now, Shiloh Sanders, he had a couple. He had a couple of good plays. He lowered the boom on some of them players. He lowered the boom on the running back and the quarterback. And I'm not going to say that Shiloh Sanders is a shutdown corner, but anybody that tried to catch a pass while Shiloh Sanders was guarding them, they had a tough time doing so. So the Sanders brothers, Shiloh dominating for the Buccaneers already, and Shedeur Sanders dominating for the Cleveland Browns already. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, coming into this weekend, we were talking about all of the rookies for that play in the NFL, but there was only one person that we left the weekend, coming out of the weekend, talking about, and that was Shedeur. Cam Ward, he did good. 5 of 8, 76 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kyle Trask, 12 of 16, 129 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Shiloh, shutdown corner. Shutdown corner, because what he dominated his side of the field. And I've already seen tapes on him. Man, he is gonna be a tough cornerback to get a reception on this season. So anybody that lines up square to square, lines up square to square when it comes to Shiloh Sanders, be prepared to be neutralized, because that's what he did. He neutralized the Titans wide receivers. He did that. He neutralized the Titans wide receivers, and he also, when it comes to the quarterback, he got a couple hits in on the quarterback. So everything when it comes to the Buccaneers, we already know that the Buccaneers offense, it goes through Mike Evans. Tennessee Titans, their offense. Well, Tennessee Titans, they are in some sort of, I'm gonna say, rebuilding year, because we all know that we're not gonna get much from the Tennessee Titans. We are not. So what I seen on tape from the Tennessee Titans, especially Cam Ward, he is a top-notch quarterback, and I see why he was drafted where he was, because Cam Ward, also like Shedeur Sanders, was throwing bullets in the game over the weekend. Was throwing bullets. So that's all I have to say for the Tennessee Titans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I only have 5 more games to talk about, and the show will be complete for today. New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers is the next game I am going to cover. New York Jets, we all know that New York Jets, over the last 25 years, New York Jets have pretty much did nothing but average things, and they have the longest playoff drought in the 4 major sports leagues in America. So that they don't have much going for them. And as far as the quarterback's concerned, when it comes to the New York Jets, you had Adrian Martinez, 11 of 16, 152 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Brady Cook, 6 of 8, 62 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Justin Fields, 3 of 4, 42 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Packers, Malik Willis, 4 of 9, 39 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. And for all the other Green Bay Packers quarterbacks, they did not throw any touchdowns or interceptions. Taylor Elisgarma, 3 of 4, 24 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Sean Clifford, 2 of 4, 14 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Jordan Love, 1 of 5, 7 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Packers, they are going to be the same. They are going to be the same exact team that they were last year. I don't know if they could reach any higher than they were because obviously you have the Detroit Lions and you also have the Minnesota Vikings in your division. And not to mention you have the Chicago Bulls, a young up-and-coming team that is going to have some improvement and make strides with the new head coaching regime, Ben Johnson. So as far as the Packers, they had a lot of stuff that they put on tape, but we all know that this is preseason, not going to take much away from the first preseason game, but I am curious to see how the Green Bay Packers are going to fare in games where they need defense, because the defense for the Packers, it wasn't up to par last season. It wasn't. It was a middle of the pack defense. And New York Jets, they were eliminated from playoff contention by week 12 of last season. So I'm not going to focus on the New York Jets too much, and I'm not going to focus on the Green Bay Packers too much, because we all know that the Packers, when it comes to the playoffs, they will be there. They will be in the thick of things come late December and early January. So I'm not worried about them. I'm not all. That's all I have to say for the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers. The next game I am going to cover is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. Kansas City Chiefs, America. We all know that the Kansas City Chiefs, they got their tails tore out the frame in the Super Bowl. I'm going to just say that. There's no other way to say it. They got their tail tore out the frame. We already see how Patrick Mahomes is on a redemption tour already. And the slander that I've heard from, well, I'm not going to say slander, but the uncertainty that I'm hearing from journalists when it comes to, some of them are saying they don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to make the playoffs. Wait a minute. When I heard that, I was like, huh? I mean, the Chiefs not making the playoffs? Since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback every season, the Chiefs have made the playoffs. And the worst thing that the Chiefs have done since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback was losing the AFC Championship game. Every season, it's either Super Bowl or AFC Championship game. Last year, it was the Super Bowl. The year before that, it was the Super Bowl. The year before that, it was the Super Bowl. The 2022, it was AFC Championship game. 2021, AFC Championship game. So y'all see where the consistency is. The Kansas City Chiefs will be there in the end. They will be. Have y'all not seen their wide receiver core this season? You got Hollywood Brown, you got Rasheed Rice, you you got Travis Kelsey. You also have Noah Gray, and also you have the deep threat himself, Xavier Worthy. So that's four guys, and and there's a possibility where the there's a possibility where the Miami Dolphins are about to trade Tyreek Hill. Does that mean that he is going back to Kansas City? We don't know. But that is just probability and a possibility right there for Tyreek Hill. But back to the Chiefs, we all know that the Chiefs, they keep everything under wraps until the playoffs. They keep everything. But as far as the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, 7 of 8, 96 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jacoby Brisket, 5 of 8, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Clayton Tune, 5 of 9, 47 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, one thing I'm going to say is America, the Cardinals, they not going to be, they are, see, look at it. The Cardinals are a team to me where they just do the bare minimum. The Cardinals, they just do the bare minimum because you see who all that they have in their division in the NFC West. They have the 49ers, for example. They have the Rams. They have the Seahawks. And it seems like anybody, and I do mean anybody, can come out of the NFC West. But the 49ers, reportedly, they have the easiest schedule this year. So, possibility the 49ers hosting some playoff games this year, because they only have two teams that were playoff teams from last season. The Rams didn't make the playoffs. Cardinals didn't make the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks did not make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs. So, only thing I can see from the Cardinals is, as far as their wide receiver core, they had a nice showing. But there's one thing. One thing, the Cardinals, what can they do in their division? That's what I'm going to say. What can they do in their division? Because we already know that the Cardinals, they are going to have a tough problem with their division, and they are going to have a tough problem with teams on their schedule. Now, that's all I have to say for the Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. The next game I am going to cover is the Denver Broncos and the 49ers. Now, Broncos defensively, Jarrett Stidham, 14 of 55, 14 of 15, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Sam Ehlinger, 6 of 10, 55 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Bo Nix, 6 of 11, 31 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mac Jones, 4 of 7, 74 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Carter Bradley, 6 of 14, 32 yards, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns. Tanner Medorko, 3 of 6, 21 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, we already know that there are some teams that don't even need preseason, and then there are some teams that do. Now, the Broncos and 49ers, they don't need preseason. They don't, because a lot of the things that they have, that they putting on tape, is nowhere near what it's going to be. Nowhere near what it's going to be in the regular season. So, here is team statistics for the Broncos receiving, 49ers receiving, and we all know that 49ers receiving yards are going to take a hit this year. Broncos, they are already saying, Sean Payton is already saying that the Broncos are a Super Bowl contending team. Now, I like Sean Payton. I really do. But There have been Super Bowl teams in the past where Sean Payton has had a lot of teams that have been Super Bowl contenders. But I'm going to tell y'all something. In Sean Payton's coaching career, he's had 7 Super Bowl contending teams, but only one has made it to the Super Bowl, and that was 2009. In 2014, he had a Super Bowl contending team. 2015, Super Bowl contender. 2018, Super Bowl contender. But they had some bad breaks. The Saints, they had some bad breaks, and Sean Payton, what he has done with the Broncos, he has pretty much changed the culture from what it used to be. Because we all know what it used to be 3 years ago with Russell Wilson at the helm and Nathaniel Hackett and all of that. All of that was just inconsistency. They were not consistent. They lost games by the span of 52 to 21. There was one game where they got blown out. They had 70. They had 70 points. But now that's the past, and now we got to focus on the present. Bo Nix, future cornerstone quarterback. You already have your quarterback. You already have your wide receiver. And you already have your running backs. The Broncos. There is something I wouldn't be surprised if the AFC West. Now we got to wrap our heads around this, America. Do we all know that there's a possibility where 3 divisions in the NFL, everybody, and I do mean everybody in that division, I'm talking about the NFC North, the AFC West, the NFC East, and the NFC South. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, can find a way to make it out. Anyway, before I get into that and the division outlook, Broncos are going to be a team that's a force to be reckoned with. They were a force to be reckoned with last year. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. 49ers, we already know what they are going to do. Now, the final 2 games I am going to cover is Miami Dolphins, Chicago Bears, and the New Orleans Saints and Los Angeles Chargers. The Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears. The Miami Dolphins, they already have problems that are coming up to the surface. The coach, Mike McDaniel, is already on the hot seat, so I might as well put him on my chopping block. Let me write that down. I'm going to put Coach Mike McDaniel on my chopping block. So Mike McDaniel already on the chopping block this season. I already got it on my notepad right here, so keep it up. Come on, audience, keep up with me. It's already there. So back to what I was saying. We get to the stuff that has developed overnight when it comes to Tyreek Hill possibly being traded. Now, if the Miami Dolphins trade Tyreek Hill, that is a significant part of their offense being off. That's a significant part of their offense. You cannot replace Tyreek Hill because he is one of, if not the best deep threat in NFL history. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. We have never seen a player like Tyreek Hill where just by him standing on the field, 2 guys draw to him. He gets most of the attention. I already know what the audience is going to say. Yes, I do understand that Jerry Rice had that. Randy Moss had that. And a lot of these other guys had that. And also, these wide receivers back then till now is different. It's different because you can't put your hands on these wide receivers. You can't nudge the wide receiver after 5 yards. You can't. So for Tyreek Hill to reportedly request a trade, or for the Miami Dolphins to reportedly, put a trade request out there for Tyreek Hill, it's gonna be bad. It is gonna be bad for the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek Hill get on the trading block. If he wants to go somewhere at the trade deadline, why don't he go back to the Kansas City Chiefs? I said this earlier in the show that Tyreek Hill, if there was a chance where he could go back to the Kansas City Chiefs, he would. Because do you see the wide receiver core for the Kansas City Chiefs? They have 5 guys that has cracked over 1,000 yards. You put Tyreek Hill in that. You put Tyreek Hill in that, and you are gonna have a woo boy, you are gonna have a dynamic offense. You gonna have the best offense in the NFL. If Tyreek Hill come back to the Kansas City Chiefs, you might as well just book it, take it to the bank. The Kansas City Chiefs are gonna be back in the Super Bowl if that happens. But we have a lot of stuff to get into before then. The Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl 60, everybody. Mark this down on your calendar. Super Bowl 60 is in Santa Clara, California, at Levi Stadium. So the road to the Super Bowl starts right now, as of today. The last game I am going to cover is the New Orleans Saints and the LA Chargers. And everybody, we have cracked over an hour on show already. This is a new season, a new start, fresh new start, and I am in a new algorithm come next Monday. But my final take for the day before I sign off. The New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Chargers. The New Orleans Saints are projected to be one of, well, the worst offense in the NFL. And we already see that. We know that there's going to be a rebuilding year for the New Orleans Saints, so I'm not going to go in on them or harp on that for a while. But as far as the Chargers, now the Chargers, as far as backups concerned, I see Trey Lance being the backup. And not to mention DJ Ugalele, he is another guy that could be the third string. Taylor Heineke, he was 1 of 5. He had 8 yards. But there's one thing. When it comes to rushing. Chargers, they gonna have it together. They are going to have it together when it comes to rush because they cracked over 100 yards already. But one thing about the Chargers, one thing that I want to see from them, and I didn't see much of this last year, is when they stop the run, when the Chargers opponents stop the run, and you're going to have to depend on Justin Herbert. Is Justin Herbert going to be able to wield a team to wins? Whether he has to run the ball himself on some broken plays or pass the ball. Is Justin Herbert going to be able to will the Chargers to victory? Now remember, everybody, he did sign a big time contract just a couple of years ago, worth $53 million a year. That $53 million a year, you got to give me $53 million worth of play. That's what I'm saying. You got to. I know what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. He wants to have a run-oriented offense. But when you paying a quarterback $50+ million, you going to need his arm somewhere in the regular season or in the playoffs. You going to do that. You going to have to do that. So as far as the Chargers, they have a well-oiled machine. I like what I'm seeing with the Chargers. My final take on the Chargers is they are going to have a good season. They are going to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs for top team in the AFC West. The first game of the year, well, the second game of the year, going over in Brazil, Kansas City and the LA Chargers, that is going to be a good game in and of itself. And with that, those are my reactions to the NFL 2025 preseason week 1 games. We are back, America world, wherever you may be looking, wherever you may be watching and listening. Now, one thing that we have done over the past 2 years, we have gained viewership from all over the globe. We are going into a new algorithm starting next week on Monday. So set your calendars. Also, you can go and look in my post dashboard. I've also said that. But one last thing, please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell for Keytime Sports on YouTube, and click the notification bell for Key City Sports on Instagram. One thing, we are moving to greener pastures. I'm possibly in the coming months, I'm going to be working on sponsorship. So everybody in the audience, I know y'all pulling for me. And thank you to everybody that has watched this show every day for the last 2 years, whether it's a slideshow or whether it's a reaction video. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to all the viewership from all over the world. We are about to go to greener pastures, and everybody, and I do mean everybody, should be happy right now. Everybody. Because we are on the rise. Keytime Sports and Key City Sports is on the rise. And everybody who is in the audience, y'all are my keys. I got to bring my keys with me. I got to. So everywhere we go. Plus, in the future, we're going to be taking this show on the road. We're going to be live streaming from some games. We're going to be live streaming from the Super Bowl. I don't know which Super Bowl yet, but hey, we're going to be live streaming from one of these Super Bowls in the future. We're going to be doing all of that. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and the 2025 NFL season and college football season is upon us. And remember, everybody, one last thing. Remember, the key is always on time.